Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Idiot Quilter. It is episode number 337 for December the 16th, 2025. We're getting closer to Christmas. Starting to panic? Yep. Okay, let's look at something more calming, shall we? So, this is the panel I bought some time ago called Sunny in the let me do this again. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Sunny in the Sunflowers. And when I went to Walter's in-person sew day on the weekend, I finished this up. It was a very basic pattern. It's just, it's really just showing off the panel and some of the line of fabrics that you can get with it. And I do like this line of fabrics. I find them very bright, very colorful. I especially love the blues. And yeah, you just make borders, and by piecing, squares and rectangles of that fabric together and adding them to the panel. Excuse me. So I do want to get it on Lucy this week, maybe not. I don't know. And quilt it and it'll be done. So yeah, it's cute. I don't usually like working with panels. And one of the reasons I don't like working with panels is because they're never printed straight. And then you have to trim them. And panels are not easy to trim since they are usually, the width of fabric, from salvage to salvage, 42 to 44 inches in size. And I don't have a huge cutting area. I have a big one, but not that big. So, it's tricky getting it all lined up and making sure your cuts are straight and all that good stuff. But I did manage to do it. One advantage to this particular pattern, like I said, very, very simple. You can knock it off in a couple of hours or less, is that the border pieces, if they were slightly a little longer, you could trim off a little bit and nobody's going to notice. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking about a quarter of an inch. And I did have to do that. So, because, when you're cutting the panel, I always have a problem. I never quite get it completely square. And just as a side note, as I look at my little picture down here in the corner, if it looks like there's a bit of a shadow across my forehead, there is. My lights, my standalone lights that I always put on when I do these productions, have decided to not work right. And so that's a new problem that I have to investigate today, and see if I can get what I can purchase as new lights, or what's going on with these. I don't understand what's going on with these. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, this was just a fun little thing. I love the panel. I know for those of you that love free motion quilting, this might be something you could have a lot of fun doing, like thread painting on or something like that. I'm not going to get that bold and with it. I'm just going to, do an edge-to-edge design and it'll be done. When I will get to that to get it done, I have no idea. Okay, moving right along. Okay, this is an Orphan block quilt. Already shown it on So Chatty and on our live. And I'm really loving it. And this often happens with me. When I put together a scrappy quilt, and especially an Orphan block quilt, and if you don't know what an Orphan block quilt is, it's basically blocks, I say blocks, that have mistakes in them. Or ones that are extras, or for some reason, or whatever. Ones I was playing around with color to see how they'd look. And I put them in a box. And I labeled the block with the box, Orphan blocks. And then when I get enough in there, and when I feel like I need a palette cleanser, I dump these all out and start playing with them. Now, usually they're different sizes. So in the case of this quilt, you will notice if you look really closely, some of the blocks have a little bit of extra white around them. That's a coping strip. What a coping strip is a little piece of fabric that just makes, that you sew to the edges of your block to make it the size you want it to be. And in my case, each one of these blocks is 8.5 inches. So there were some that were a little less than that. There were some that were a little bit more. And so with the ones that were a little bit more, I just put a square 8.5 inch ruler in the center of the block, line it up, and lob off the excess. Yeah. And I know sometimes that means you cut off points. Sometimes it means you cut off part of the patchwork. And, when you put it all together in a quilt like this, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because it doesn't. So for those of you that love to find mistakes, knock yourself out on this. Pause the video and spend a half hour or an hour identifying all the mistakes, because there are tons of them. And that's why they were in my Orphan block box. So I have it all done. I decided to trim it in gray, my usual, not my usual color that I use, but I just thought with this one it was a little bit more neutral, because there's all kinds of colors going on in the Orphan block quilt. And yeah, I'm not concerned about, the colors. Although, these colors all seem to go together pretty good, given what it is. The other thing, too, to consider when making an Orphan block quilt is, if you're somebody that's a little OCD, like I am, you want to make sure everything fits together, that you want symmetry. And you will notice there are some signs of that here. Initially, what I did was I threw the blocks up on my design wall, and then I'd stand back from it, and you just look at it, and your gut will say, I don't like that one there. Can't really explain why I don't like that particular block in that particular spot. Just something inside me says, move it. And this is what I do for a while. And it does take a while. You might be spending half an hour to an hour readjusting your blocks. However, I suggest that if you're becoming obsessed where the blocks are going to go, stop and start sewing them all together, because you could be there all day, because it's all random. It's really random. You will notice that in the top right corner and the top or the bottom left corner that there's something happening there. Well, I had enough of those blocks that I could do this little, I don't know what you call it, this little technique to make it look like part of the block was being hidden by another block. Gives a little bit of depth, but I did think about that when I was putting those together. But everything else, nope. I did try to go for a little symmetry in the center of the quilt, and because I had a lot of those friendship stars, the yellow ones, in that, but yeah, I gave up on that idea. It just wasn't working, and it was starting to drive me crazy. And as I said, if you get to that point, stop. Just sew this sucker together. So that's what I did. And I'm going to quilt the hell out of this. I'm going to find a fairly dense edge-to-edge design, computer design, and I'm just going to let it go to town, because I can and I don't care. Yeah. So we'll just see what happens. It's very freeing sometimes when you do this, and especially if you don't get too tied up on where you're going to place the blocks. So, yep, I'll show it to you when I get it quilted, whenever that's going to be. Yeah, that's my theme for today, whenever that's going to be. Okay, moving on. There it is. I call this my Opus quilt, because I'll never make another one this size, or probably this complicated. Well, I shouldn't say that. I might make something more complicated than that. But this one, this is Stormy Sea. You've seen it in bits and pieces for the last couple of months since I bought the kit. It is done. It is quilted. It is beautiful. I absolutely love it. Now, when you're looking at this, you're going to go, oh, the bed's not that big. No, the bed's a queen size bed. Okay. It is the way I had to take the picture to get it all into the shot, because well, if you look at my perspective as the camera or the picture taker, my back's up against a wall, literally, when I tried to take this. So yeah, but I did take other shots of it. Here's a bit of a more of a close-up. Now, if you look carefully, you can see the quilting. I did not want quilting that was going to stand out. I did not want to take away from the piecing, but I wanted texture. So this was the design that we picked. It's kind of, I think it's called Vortex, and it sort of, goes back and forth in waves, and it's curvy. And I thought that was appropriate for a quilt called Stormy Sea. It gives it a little bit of movement, but at the same time doesn't take away from the patchwork. And I did have, now this was all done by Kawartha Quilting. I have never sent out a quilt to be quilted before, ever. Even back in the days when I first got started, I was quilting my own quilts on my domestic machine before I had Lucy. And the reason I sent this out is it's 108 inches square. Lucy couldn't handle it. It was, I have a 10-foot frame. Walter always bitches at me that I should have got a larger one. We could have got it in, he says. I still don't believe that. But in the case of this quilt, I kind of wish that I had a 12-foot anyways. But anyways, I took it up to Kawartha Quilting. I was afraid there were ways to quilt it, but not really good ways to do it on Lucy. And I knew that I didn't have enough experience with that kind of thing, and I would screw it up. And I did not want to screw up this quilt. It cost me too much money in time and in dollars, and I just did not want to blow it. So that's why I went up to Kawartha Quilting. They quilted it. We had a consultation. We looked at designs. I already had some designs in mind as far as the quilting was concerned. We found one on their machine that I really liked, Vortex. And I had them, for the batting, do wool batting. Never have used wool batting before. It's a little bit more pricey, but it wasn't really that bad. I used 80-20, and 80-20 is about $20 a meter. The wool was 28. So, and I needed 3 meters. So I figured it was worth it. Plus, everybody told me that wool is so much softer. It's cool in the summer, warm in the winter, and it drapes nicely. And I wanted this quilt to drape down and just touch the floor from the bed. And our mattress is a fairly high mattress, as mattresses tend to be these days, you know. So, yeah. And I also had them bind it. And the lady who does all of that there, she does hand binding. She did a beautiful job. She did the quilting and everything too. I couldn't be happier with the way this turned out. And here's another shot. So here you can see it. That gives you a little bit of idea that the bed is a queen size and draping to the floor. So yeah, Walter's in the door frame over there in the corner when I took this picture. The quilt that's on the wall behind the bed, had it there for quite some time. That was another large quilt that I did. But that one, did I do that on Lucy? I think that one fit on Lucy, just. And I was able to do it on Lucy. Or either that or I took it down to Whirls and Swirls and did it on their machine. I can't remember now. But it's applique. It's batiks and it's appliques. And that's my other quilt that I'm, very proud of too. Now, I've had a few of you say, are you going to enter this quilt, Stormy Sea, into a competition? No, I am not. No. First of all, you'd need a transport truck to get it there. And no, I'm not going to do that at all. Now, have I washed this quilt yet? No, I have not. And it may be quite some time before it does get washed. Now, we had the neighbors in for a little Christmas drink yesterday, and we were showing this to them. And my neighbor said, she said, "Oh, that'll be really nice and warm and everything for the winter." And I says, "Oh, no, this does not touch our bodies. No. This quilt gets folded up at the base, at the bed, the bottom of the bed when we go to bed. We have a duvet under that and whatnot. We do not bundle up in this quilt. No." And I know many of you out there will say, but that's what quilts are for. Yes, you are right. That's what quilts are for. Not this one. Not this one. It'll eventually be washed though, and it'll probably fluff up even more. But right now, I'm just enjoying how it looks at this moment in time, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I'll never do another one that big. Yeah. So I think that's all the pictures I have of that. It is. So, yeah. So that brings me to, what am I going to be working on next? Well, I have, unfinished quilts, UFOs, to get quilted. I've got the 2 that are hanging up my design wall right now that I've already shown you, the Orphan Block and Sunny. And I have several hanging up out in the Lucy room. So I got to get on with those. But you know me, I get going on other projects. So what are my other projects right now? Well, I'm trying to get through Christmas. Let's put it that way. And I keep making more Christmas things. Now I'm making centerpieces for my table for Christmas Day with the 3D printer. Yeah. And it's basic. In some ways, it's kind of like an orphan quilt, what I'm doing, because they are pieces that I have had left over from other projects that didn't quite work. So I'm kind of changing them into centerpieces. And I'll probably, when I get them done, I will show them to you probably next week on my vlog. But I hate to waste things, you know. I was that way with paper crafting as well. I saved all my scraps of paper and make collages and stuff like that out of it. And, you know, we all save our scraps, or many of us do, from our fabrics when we're making quilts. I have gotten a little that under more control these days. I only save bits that are, you know, big enough that they could be eventually cut down to as small as a 2.5 inch square. If I can't do that, then bye bye. Yeah. I know some of you are going to say, oh, you can't throw out fabric into landfill. You should put it in a big bag and donate it, or you should make a dog bed out of it, or something like that. Yeah, you do you. I do me. So anyways, I'm going to concentrate, I think, in the new year on bag making. In fact, I've already started a bag. Now, when I say bags, I don't mean necessarily totes, although some, you know, I'll do some other totes. I'm going to see if I can embellish them more. I'm going to see if I can use my 3D printers to add things to my bags, like fobs or, you know, things like that. But right now I'm working on the Holland, yeah, Holland duffel bag. I've seen this pattern. I know many of you are familiar with it. You've probably made one already. One of the ladies on my Wednesday sew days showed us hers that she had made some time ago, and I thought, hey, that looks like fun. So I bought the pattern, and I'm going to try and get it done today. And I might make a second one. The first one I made, I quilted the panels, but I thought I'd be smart and quilt them using my embroidery machine, and that did work, but the design I picked is pretty intense. So I don't know how this is going to look. Also, my choice of fabrics for this bag may not have been the best, but anyways, I'm looking at it as a prototype. And then if I like this when I get it done, like the design and the instructions are pretty good for it. I might make a second one, but, you know, be more selective about the quilting and the fabric that I pick. So as I said, probably show that to you next week. But I've organized all my bag patterns that I've been collecting for some time, and they come from a variety of sources, and that's going to be more of my attention, my focus, my attention on that for the new year. We'll see how that works out. I'll keep you informed. Okay. So what's coming up? Sewing with Stephen on Wednesday, this Wednesday, at the time of recording this, that's tomorrow. That is December the 17th. We open the doors at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we're done at 4 p.m. Eastern. I know it's a busy time of the year. It is for me, too. But, you know, you got to have a little bit of fun, you know, amongst all the chaos. And so that's what I hope I bring to you when I do my Wednesday sew days. It's also an opportunity for you to, you know, really get those last minute gift things you've been making done. So all are welcome. Come and go as you please. Link is in the show notes for that. Now, just a I was going to say warning. That sounds ominous. Not a warning. Just a notice, advance notice. There will not be a Sewing with Stephen on the Wednesday after this Wednesday, so that would be the 24th, and there will not be one on the 31st. And I think it might be obvious why that would be. The 24th, of course, is Christmas Eve. We're doing a lot of our major cooking, like the bird and everything, and getting things set up because we've got 14 people here for Christmas Day. Why did I do this? It seemed like a good idea at the time. Anyway, so I'm not going to have time to do a Wednesday sew day. However, and I've announced this before, and you'll find the link for it in the show notes, I am hosting, Walter and I will be hosting a Christmas Eve social. Just for a couple of hours on Christmas Eve, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and running until about 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And what do we do at the social? I don't know. Well, yeah, I do kind of know. I have sort of an outline of things I would like to do to keep you entertained and amused. And, that'll involve some games, some videos, and lots of chatter. We're going to talk. We're going to talk about, what your plans are for Christmas Day. We're going to talk about your, memories of Christmas past, things like that. If you have something you would like to show us, bring it along with you. And it does not have to be something you have sewn. Maybe you have a favorite cookie that you make every year at Christmas time. You can show us your cookie. Maybe you have a favorite drink. Maybe you have a favorite Christmas ornament or some special little gift that someone gave you maybe many years ago that you cherish at Christmas especially. And there's a little story maybe attached to that. Bring it along, and we'll share these ideas. We'll get all warm and fuzzy, yeah, and festive. Okay, so all are welcome for that. Again, come and go as you please for it. It's very informal, but we did this for a couple of years back before we went to the retreats at Christmas. So we haven't done it for 2 years. So this is the first time we're doing it since then. Okay, so there's that. Then I also said there won't be one on Wednesday the 31st because that is New Year's Eve. Now, I don't have anything planned for New Year's Eve for everybody, but I do plan to do a pop-up sew day on New Year's Day. So again, the link for that will be, both those links will be in the show notes next week. I think I said that I was going to put the Christmas Eve social in the show notes for this one today, but I'm sorry, it won't go in until next week. And I'll send those links out too as well to anybody that's on my mailing list. Okay, what else is coming up? Well, just the usual hubbub of Christmas, I guess. I did mention that I went to Walter Sew Day. I think I'm going to do this now on a regular basis. I do enjoy my time there. It's a very small group. There are 6 of us, or there were at the last one. They're all making garments. I'm making quilts, or what might be bags. I don't know. We'll see at that for the next one. But I know in advance now the ones for when the dates are for January, February, and March. And so that means I can plan my pop-up sew days accordingly and around those as well. So, yeah. So stay tuned for when I make my announcements for all of those. But it was a good day. They make a variety of things, and it's a little different because it's 4 guys, 2 ladies. Walter was working on shirts. He's working on our Christmas shirts, which we will premiere at our Christmas social on the 24th. So stay tuned for that. Worth the price of admission. Yeah. It's free. So that, and one of the guys was working on underwear, men's underwear. And it looks really good. Yeah. Designer underwear. So I will say no more about that. But I also know that 2 of the guys there have made bathing suits because they're going to Mexico in February, I think. So yeah, these are very talented sewists. I have no desire to make men's underwear, and Walter has no desire to make men's underwear either. So I guess I'll still be buying mine when I do. Yeah, and it's interesting watching how they do things because they've all got 2 sewing machines with them. They have their sewing machine, their domestic, and they have their sergers there as well, because I guess you use your serger quite a bit for clothing sewing. I just had the 1 sewing machine working on my quilts. Okay, so that was a good day. And oh yes, okay, so the MSQC unboxings, the Missouri Star Quilt Countdown to Christmas Advent boxes, Johnny Dones boxes, whatever you want to call it. It's got 1,000 names. We have opened up days 1 right through to day 20. Yesterday, 16 to 20 went up live. So there's one more opening session left, and that will be on Christmas Day, December the 25th. Did the 20th go up? You know, I'm not good with dates. No. Whoa. It's not just my lights that went out. It's my light in here. Okay, let's back up, shall we? What went live yesterday was days 15. Sorry. 11 to 15. Yeah, that's what I had to think about it. I don't know about you, but I'm getting all my days all mixed up during this holiday season thing. Anyways, yeah. So we now have days 1 through to 15 now up and live. This coming Saturday, December the 20th, days 16 to 20 go live. And then after that, we have the final unboxing, and that will be on Christmas Day. That's how it works. Yes, I've got it. Okay. Stop while I'm ahead. Okay, so moving right along. So Chatty, this past week we did Unbagging the Kawartha Quilting Santa Sack. I get that every year. It is not an Advent kind of a thing, although it could be because they do number all the packages, but there's only 12, so it's the 12 days of Christmas. And by the way, a lot of people that do vlogs, Christmas vlogs, Vlogmas and that kind of thing, they some of them do them as the 12 days of Christmas. So I kind of looked it up. I always thought the 12 days of Christmas were the 12 days before Christmas Day. They're not. The 12 days of Christmas are the 12 days after Christmas to Epiphany, which is January the 6th. So Christmas Day to January the 6th. Those are what are considered the 12 days of Christmas. Yeah. So there you go. Not that it really matters for that, but it's just a little fact that I learned, and I thought I'd share it with you. You probably already know this, and someone will tell me they already knew this, and I was an idiot. Why didn't I know this? Well, I didn't, and I'm an idiot. Okay. So, anyways, we did the unbagging of it. We did it all in one sitting. So that was on So Chatty. And different bag from the Missouri Star Quilt box. Just spoiler alert, I will not be getting the Missouri Star Quilt box next year at all. I'm done with it. I am really done with it. And you can hear in the tone of my voice that I am done with it. But the Kawartha quilt bag started out a little bit iffy, but it was worth it. And this was the 3rd year that I've done it, and I will definitely be getting it next year if they offer it again. So, yeah. So that's there if you haven't seen it. Yeah, it's in So Chatty. All right, that takes us to Subscribers Quilt of the Week, and this lovely creation comes from Melissa Van Buskirk. This week's beautiful creation from a subscriber comes from Melissa Van Buskirk, and she has shown us some of her lovely in the hoop machine embroidered creations before, and this is another one, and she says this about that. I attached a picture of the multi-hooping stained glass poppy from Creative Kiwi I recently made. It is 14.5 inches in diameter, the 6 by 10 size. I used mylar around the poppy, and I'm pleased with the stained glass look it has given. And yes, you can see that mylar around the poppy, and it is very nice, and it does look like, at first glance, like a stained glass piece. It's gorgeous and great for a Remembrance Day, but you know, it's great any time of the year. Poppies don't just have to be for Remembrance Day. They're a beautiful flower. They can be displayed anywhere in your home at any time of the year, even at Christmas time for that matter as well, because of the color scheme. But this is absolutely beautiful, Melissa, and thank you so much for sending it in to us to enjoy. And so, if you would like me to feature your quilts in the new year, please send me one picture and a 50-word blurb or less, 50 words or less, about the quilt, and I'd be happy to show it here. Okay, so YouTube of the week. I am so sick and tired of one particular company's videos on YouTube. I don't watch them. but they pop up in my feed, and they're trying to entice you to watch it by definitely giving you clickbait in the title. For example, this one is called The End of Quilting. Well, who's not going to watch that, right? But anyways, here's my take on this trick. This week's YouTube clip of the week is one that I am not very pleased with. And I don't usually say that very much about any of the clips that I show for you. My idea of showing the clips is so that you can see other resources or interesting things on YouTube. I do not recommend this one. So why am I talking about it? Because I am very sick and tired of the So Yeah Boys selling their products on YouTube and disguising those sales, or to get you to watch them, by using clickbait. Now, they are not the only ones that do this kind of thing, but theirs lately have been obsessive, and maybe it's because it's the Christmas season and they're trying to drive up their sales. But this one, for example, is called The End of Quilting. Well, aren't you curious? Don't you want to hear about that? And that's exactly why I clicked on it. And it has nothing to do with the end of quilting. It has everything to do with the technology of what they use in their store to create fat quarter bundles, etc. And although that is kind of interesting in itself, it always leads back to why their products are better than anybody else's. Now, yes, I suppose you could say any company does this. I mean, the Fat Quarter Shop has a YouTube channel, Missouri Star Quilt has a YouTube channel, and ultimately all of these places are there not just to inform us and to entertain us, but more importantly are trying to get us to buy their products. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that in a free market or free trade-ish kind of world. I mean, after all, capitalism seems to make the world go round. But what I find especially annoying about these ones from So Yeah is the way they are literally sucking in viewers. And they do the same thing with their other business practices as well. I know many of you out there will probably disagree with me because you are loyal followers of So Yeah and you buy products from them all the time. And if it gets you what you want, you go ahead and do that. But for me, I find this disgusting. It smirks to me of dishonesty. I don't trust this company at all. Luckily, they're located in the United States, and since I'm Canadian, I really can't order from them for a variety of reasons. So you check it out, you make your own assessment. Okay, so future projects. Well, I thought I'd start showing you over the next few weeks in future projects some of the bag patterns that I have pulled out to work on. And this is one from So Sweetness called the Clydebank Tote. This week's future project is another bag project, a free pattern from, what are they called? So Sweetness. Yes, by So Sweetness. I showed you one last week, and this is another one. And I have a collection of all of these free patterns from So Sweetness because I want to try making these various bags. The one thing I like about the design of this bag is, and it's being suggested here with the fabric that they used, that I could actually do an embroidered panel in sort of a floral, if I so desired floral, for this particular bag. It comes in two sizes. There's a small one and a large one. And as I said, the pattern itself is free, and you'll find the link to this in the show notes below. I like the handle. It's a little bit different. It's incorporated into the actual bag itself, so you know it's going to be strong, but I also kind of like the way they've done the curve at the top. And so that'll be a new technique for me to learn, to see how I actually like the outcome of that. So that's called the Clydebank Tote, and it is by So Sweetness, and it's free. So that takes me to what I usually have been putting here called What's Twisting My Seams. I have nothing. I need submissions for this segment. They're not coming in very fast or regular. So I am seriously thinking in the new year, this is a segment that just doesn't work. And so I'm probably going to get rid of it. And I don't know if I'm going to come up with something in its time space. I'll have to think about that. Right now, I'm drawing a blank as to what I would do instead with it. So yeah. So let's move on to what I'm working on. And here's some video of what I've been working on. So what have I been working on this week? Well, you can see right now that the 3D printers are silent, but they're not going to be for long because I've been working on these boxes, which I think I already showed you in my vlog yesterday, for my great nieces with some little goodies in them. But I'm having some problems getting the top to fit snugly on the boxes, and I've tried about 3 times, and I'm going to try it one more time to get that right. And I've got a project on here. My plan for 2026 is to make more bags and get more elaborate bags. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually using the embroidery machine to quilt, sort of, my front panel of my bag, what will become the front panel of the bag, probably the back panel too for that matter, that I'm making. It is the Hollywood Duffel, I believe they call it. Those were some experimental pieces I was trying for design. Yeah, the Holland Duffel. And it looks like, do I have a picture here? Yeah, I made the mistake of printing this on yellow paper. So that's the thing I'm making. I hope. We'll see how that is, a little bit more elaborate. In this box, I was at Walter's Sew Day on the weekend, and I got the Sunny by the Sunflower panel done. That's with the cat and the sunflowers, and I got the top done. It's a very simple quilt, and I'm going to be showing that to you a little later on, if I haven't already at the time of recording this. I've been playing around. Well, you can see over my project table, before I show you what I've been playing around with. Not a heck of a lot on here. This is just storage more than anything. I've got the mini block sampler over there from RD's Quilts that I want to start working on 1 or 2 of those blocks over time. And over here, I have the Orphan block quilt, which, yes, these blocks all have mistakes in them. Might be a couple that don't. They were just extra blocks, but they all have mistakes in them. So somebody decided to point out where one of my mistakes were, but I already said this is full of mistakes. These are Orphan blocks. I'm just putting them together to see what it would look like. It is definitely a scrappy quilt, and I'm going to throw that on to Lucy at some point, and I think I'm going to quilt the heck out of it because, you know, I don't care on this one. Although, you know, it's funny how you put these Orphan blocks together and they look really good. Yeah, but they're full of mistakes. Points are cut off, pieces are put in the wrong way. And I just, when I do that, I don't throw the block away. I just throw it in a box called Orphan blocks, and then I do something like this with it down the road. Do I have any purpose for this? No, just to do it. I might, if when I get it done, I'll see, I might give it to my other niece who has a dog, Karen, for her Freddie. Freddie's a Doberman. And yeah, probably could use a nice little bed. And besides that, what else have I been working on? Nothing much, really. I'm just trying to get ready for Christmas like everybody else. And yeah, so that's been my week. And that takes me to a review of an online quilt store. And this particular store is called Buttons. This week's online quilt store is called Buttons, and it's located, their brick and mortar store is located in Sturgeon Falls, Ontario. So let's take a look at what they have to offer, and this is their front page, and they're also a cafe by the looks of things, and they handle yarn. So they've got a little bit of everything. It says, amidst the vibrant selection of fabric and yarn, discover our inviting little coffee nook. Sip on your choice of rich coffee, soothing tea, indulgent hot chocolate, or a French vanilla, latte, cappuccino, or espresso. Pair your drink with a sweet delight from our assortment, cookies, muffins, and other great sweet treats. So, yeah, and they say, settle in with your knitting project, share stories with friends. So they've created a kind of a cozy looking little atmosphere. There's a picture of it here, where, you know, this is not just a place to go and buy fabric or buy yarn, but you can come in here and socialize and relax and have a nice cup of coffee. I think that's a great idea. It makes the store more of a destination than just some place to pick up some fabric. So let's look down further. They have gem sewing with buttons, quality fabric, and yarn present an artisan quilting event. Okay, so we've missed that. But it looks like they have events. They have upcoming courses. They have check out the cafe. Well, I'm really curious, first of all, about the cafe, so let's check it out. And that's the cafe up there. Okay, it takes me up there, so we've already seen that. So let's go. Well, here's some more pictures of their store. They do have a very well stocked, it looks like, store. But of course, we're here to review their online store as opposed to their actual store. So let's get right into that. Let's see, shop online here. Welcome to our online store. Okay. Needles, notions, fabric. Well, let's go to fabric. And here we go. Now on the left side, they have browse by category, all items, rug cooking, notions, and then fabric, the indigenous, Christmas, wide backs, flannel, children's, licensed, blenders, collections, by the half meter, panel, jelly roll, batiks, quilting patterns, plaid, Canadian theme, monk's cloth, and interfacing. Let's drop into Canadian themed and see what we have. Well, we only have two things to pick from, pretty basic ones. Let's see, $9.49. I imagine that's $9.49 for half a meter. So let's see. Do they tell us this? Sold in half meter increments. Yes, it is. So it is basically just under, it's about 1888 a meter, which is not bad. That's creeping towards the lower end of the price levels. But let's look at Christmas and see what the price is. Well, they don't have any Christmas. Okay, let's look at licensed. They have two, and they're $9.50 for half meter and $10.99 for half meter. Well, they're specialties. Let's look at their blenders. Okay, so they have, well, I wouldn't really call any of these a true blender. Maybe something like this. And now they range, this is very pretty, but it ranges from $10.99 to $16.50, so that's expensive. Morrison Company. Still, prices aren't bad, but I definitely wouldn't call these blenders. There's prints mixed in here as well, so yeah. And they have 2 pages of them. Okay. Let's see, the collections. Well, I'm seeing a lot of repeats and under collections as well that were under blenders. Some few things that are different. Prices are good. For the most part, look like they range from anywhere as low as $17 a meter to upwards and beyond. So yeah, depends on what you're looking for. Okay, let's just look here and see what else. Well, let's go to, should we go to all items? Well, this is going to have yarn mixed in it as well, so that's not a good idea. Back to fabric. Okay, so this is all the fabric, and no, that's not all the fabric. Okay, I'm not sure how this is really set up. I'm getting a little discouraged here. Let's see, batiks. Let's check out batiks. Okay, $17 a meter for batiks, but very little to choose from. Okay, I take back if I implied that they have a really great selection of fabric online. No, maybe more in the store, but I don't really think they have a great selection online unless I'm missing something. They got something here called by the half meter. So I guess these are but we've seen these ones before too. So I'm really not sure how they are doing their organization on this, because it seems to be whatever category you go into, it's a repeat. Yeah, we've seen this one before too. So yeah, that kind of throws me off a little bit. Prices aren't bad, but selection is not. It's okay if you're looking for very specific things, maybe for a baby quilt, or you like the novelty fabrics like these dump trucks or the hockey themes that we saw. But other than that, there's not a lot here, at least for me. Okay, if you're into rug hooking, they have rug hooking supplies. All right. And as I said, they do sell yarn. So they have yarn, they have weaving things, DK knits. I know nothing about yarn, so we'll skip over that. And they have it all listed here, the different kinds they have, which would be to other people probably important. Who knit. Notions. We've got one notion. We have a little mini travel iron. Okay. Oh, wait. They do have machine needles. Okay, the usual standard. Yeah, about the going price for needles. They do have rulers. Okay, so they've got some specialty rulers here. Creative Grids. Seems to be Creative Grids is the brand they handle. And the prices there are what you would expect them to be. Okay. Now I did notice under fabric they had wide backs. And they have two. Not a bad price for those two, but not that exciting. Okay, they do have flannel as well. Again, not much of a selection. Okay, is there anything else we can look at here on this website? Well, let's check out. Okay, I did see something about classes, or did I not? I'm not seeing it now. Needles, notions, yarn weaving, rug hooking, buttons home, stay in the loop. Okay, I thought, but it's not coming up now. I don't know. Am I not in the right section? Let's go back to shop now. No. Hmm. Okay. So the navigation changed on me. Well, maybe I'm mistaken. I thought I saw something that said they had... Okay, this. How did I get to this page? Something not right here. Just bear with me for a moment. It's almost like... Have I found two stores called Buttons and one is somewhere else? Nope, that's the same one. I'm in the right section. Okay. So let us go down to where I saw... Oh, I'm missing it. Oh, here we go. Okay. Upcoming courses. That's it. Okay, this took a while to find. And we have a giant calendar. And we are past all those dates. And they have drop-ins. Guess you go in and get a coffee from their cafe. But they don't seem to be showing any other classes coming up. Is that because it's December? Let's see. Anything in the new year? Well, it won't even go. Okay. So the calendar doesn't even... Yeah. I switched to January. Well, there we go. That was kind of awkward. Okay, so they have something on beginner sewing and beginner sewing for kids. Drop-in netting, lots of drop-ins seem to be a regular thing for that. Okay, so basically no real classes, maybe in the future. Okay, so that's about all that's here. Well, one thing we didn't check was their shipping. And I think, do they have, I thought I saw, I find their site a little distracting because of all the pictures and everything and trying to find, you know, where I need to go. So that's not something that's good. Okay, maybe I need to go back into Fabric, shop online. Anything down here? No. Okay. Yeah. I thought I saw something about their policies, but where that is, I have no idea now. I'm completely lost. So I have no idea what their shipping is like. I'm assuming it is probably Canada Post, but I'm not finding anything that's telling me that for sure. Okay, so can I get back to this page? Yeah, there we are. So that's buttons. I think the idea of the cafe is a cute idea. Their pictures of their store, the actual brick and mortar store, look like they might be worth visiting the store. As far as the online's concerned, I found it confusing to navigate around. Lots of nice pictures, but that seemed to be more of a distraction than a help. And I don't think their selection of fabric is all that great online. Hopefully, they have more, in their store if you're in the Sturgeon Falls area. But for all of those reasons, I'm going to give buttons a 5 out of 10. Okay, so that brings me to the end of this edition of the Idiot Quilter. Just a reminder that we are having a pop-up. I am, you are, we are, together, whoever. Pop-up Sew Day. This coming Saturday, December the 20th, 2025. The link is in the show notes for that. And I've sent it out to the people on my mailing list on yesterday. So yeah, I know that you're going to be busy. So I have a feeling there's not going to be a whole lot of us, but that is okay. Even if there's one of you, there's still a pop-up Sew Day. Okay? So yeah, because that's the way I roll. Anyways, that's it for me. I got to go out for my walk. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.